quite an experience to be here among all these distinguished professors, government officials, the experts who participated in mentoring and coaching and judging the entries, and most importantly, the future. All of you who participated with such energy, enthusiasm, and hard work in the Embedded Intel Cup. Even though I have my handicap in terms of language, you can imagine the kind of sense of friendliness that pervades this entire atmosphere. It just makes me want to come back again and again. And I'm equally excited about being here among all of you because Intel's Embedded Group believes that there is a tremendous change happening in the embedded space. There is a big wave coming. And that wave is represented by these embedded devices, which traditionally used to be isolated, unconnected, dedicated devices. They are suddenly getting connected to the internet. And we believe that it is going to open up a whole new possibility in terms of how they will impact our lives and our work. And we believe that industry, academia, and government, all three components have a vital role to play in harnessing the force of this wave and making sure that we can not only develop some of these great ideas into commercially viable systems, but eventually systems that will help the mankind improve how we live and work and interact with each other. So, several years ago, ITU had a white paper that they published, which was titled The Internet of Things, or as we have called it, Embedded Internet. If you look at the first three waves of Internet, when initially the mainframes got connected, then the servers and PCs, which is where Internet really took off, and then it really became ubiquitous when people got connected through their cell phone devices. The fourth wave of Internet is going to be about Internet of Things. Things or objects that we interact with on a daily basis, and we sometimes are not even aware of their presence in our life. Now this fourth wave, people have pegged different numbers. My own management says 15 billion connected devices by 2015. Some other executive says 20 billion devices by 2020. Somebody has says 50 billion devices. The bottom line is, it is going to be lots of devices that will get connected. But this particular phenomenon is going to be different in terms of how it will have the potential of Internet than the first three waves, where essentially Internet was being utilized by human beings. So all the transactions that happened somehow occurred in response to a human being initiating those interactions or those transactions. The embedded Internet or Internet of Things is going to have these devices, which are now becoming smarter, initiating these transactions. So this is going to be internet 7 by 24. Because these devices, without human interaction, are going to sense and figure out what needs to be done so that we can do our work better. So it is going to unleash the potential of internet like never before. But at the same time, it is going to impose some big challenges on the infrastructure that is there to support the first 3 waves, which, as I say, were essentially human initiative. Now, one question that people ask, that why we as Intel are so much involved and passionate about how this 4th wave of internet evolves. We believe that Intel architecture is fundamental to how internet has evolved up to this point. All of you, most of the ideas that you have developed and shown here, used your laptop to come up with these ideas and to get them to deployment. We would like to evolve Intel architecture to a point where it really makes it easier for these 4th wave to take advantage and to make things easily deployable, easily developable, and it will make useful these platforms in our day-to-day life. So that's why we are really interested in how this 4th wave evolves. If you look at these platforms of the future, there are going to be 3 essential elements to this devices of Internet of Things. They all will need to sense what is going on within their environment. So sensory aspect is something we all need to figure out. How these sensor networks are going to evolve. How do we bring more standardization to these sensor networks so that they can communicate and they can interact, make the devices more smarter about the environment that they are in. Obviously, sensing is not enough. They need to turn that into some sort of perception. And this will require a lot of processing. Well, perception by itself is not enough. They need to communicate what they are sensing and what they are perceiving to other devices around them. And then depending on what they learn from each other about what the environment is, they may choose to sense something different. So there is going to be this closed interactive loop between these devices which really makes this Internet of Things that useful for human beings. Now, as you can see, there are going to be internal aspects to the device itself, but then these devices need to communicate with each other, so there will be some external interfaces that need to be developed so that these devices, which are very low cost, they may run on battery, or even if they are not running on batteries, they need to consume very, very low amount of power, because otherwise we are just making the whole energy problem that much worse. So we really need to come up with ways for these devices to interact with each other that are very much aware of the power equation in their life. Premier Wen Jiabo even mentioned in one of his speeches earlier on that said, Internet plus Internet of Things equals wisdom of the earth. And in fact, I forgot to correct the date. This is almost like I'm predicting what he's going to say in the future. The date should be 2009. But it is not just us technologists singing the praise of this future that is going some of the highest government officials who influence how the world is going to evolve, they recognize the potential of this Internet of Things and how it is going to have a profound effect on our lives in this fashion. Now, the term that he has used is very critical, and each one of you, I would appreciate if you can pay attention to it. We all know how to deal with data. Data gathering, processing that data, and converting that into some sort of useful information. Synthesizing that information to making sure that we create some sort of knowledge system based on that. He mentioned wisdom, which is not just about understanding what is going on and having a knowledge about what it is that you need to do, but having some sort of wisdom that says, between all these choices, there is one way that is the right way, and one way that may not be so right. So having that wisdom, how do you synthesize the knowledge even to that point, so that these devices, as they are trying to help us live our lives better, they create and somehow derive that sense of wisdom from the people that they are interacting with. And that will lead to some wise actions that these devices perform on our behalf. Now, I truly believe that this new paradigm is not going to come about if these three entities don't really figure out how to work well with each other. Industry, academia, and government. And by the way, I have been a big proponent of the PRC model that exists here, where industry, academia, all the professors that you see here, I cannot say enough about professors like Professor Xu, Professor Wang, who have been the guiding lights for how academia needs to interact with not only just their population of students, but with industry and with government officials. I wish we could replicate this PRC template in every part of the world, where the innovation and creativity of the young minds who are in our universities today, they can be harnessed in the best possible fashion so that you can see the kind of results that we just saw in the demo room earlier. So I encourage all of us to work together. The one last piece of advice I will give all the students as a technologist is to recognize that being smart, which all of you are, the question was asked earlier that who are the winners? Well, in my mind, every one of you is a winner. But realize that as you try to get some of these ideas into real life, being smart is really not a differentiating factor. That's a given. With most of the people that you will be dealing with, they are pretty smart. The differentiating factor is how you figure out to work with other smart people and synthesize your idea and their idea into something even better than those original ideas. Having that ability and working on that is going to be your differentiating factor and your path to success. So I'm looking forward to all of you applying your creativity and innovation so that we will have this Internet of Things vision really come to fruition in the most meaningful and wise sense.